here, Bradley. I have been looking forward to this interview like all week. I really have. I really have. And I love that we kind of compliment each other today. You got I got the stripes. You got the print.
Yeah.
Look at us.
Same kind of color scheme in the print, same kind of walls. And all of
I know. And yeah, and we will never forget to groove because we can see it front and center.
That's it, right there.
Okay, so real fast, you
Yes.
mentioned that the fires in LA affected your housing situation right now.
Yeah, so we had our house burned down. This
I'm
was
so
a separate issue, but during the whole COVID thing, 5 months ago now, or 5.5 months ago in April, we had a fire. Like, so this it was a separate issue, but we had a fire that burned our house down, or burned. Our house had to be taken down to the studs. It didn't burn it down to the ground, but it, like, the roof burned off, the side of the wall burnt off. It's a longer story, but it was an accident that happened just, and luckily we were all good. Our oldest son rescued us, really got us out of the house. It was pretty wild, obviously, situation, but just incredible support from everybody. It was a weird time because there was no hotels you could go to. There was hard to stay with people because everybody's kind of freaking out about the COVID. And so we were and we have 4 of us with a dog, and it was kind of like weird for the first while, but then we got settled in here. So we're in a rental place, and we're waiting for the house to be built, which is going to it's being slowed down again because of COVID, because of it takes a while for the city and permits. So it's looking more like 2021 now.
Bless you. We are finding out how resilient we are as a human race, are we not?
That's it. Absolutely.
My goodness.
It is amazing that you know what we have been designed to handle, what we are made. Like, you see these things. It's kind of almost a weird paradox where someone, unfortunately, like, is just walking on the street and trips and they fall and they're like really hurt badly, but yet someone else can just suffer through trials and physical trials and for years and be, kidnapped and all, incredible things. And then their story, which reminds us of what we're connected to and what we have the ability to withstand with the awareness of a larger group that's in our life that we can, grab a hold of, you know what I mean?
Our connected humanity. Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen. I love it. Yeah, I spoke with a dancer in New York this week in an interview, and he dances with cerebral palsy, and his story is incredible. I mean, his ability to move in his body and work through his own artistry with his certain limitations. He talked a lot about how connected we are and the commonalities that we share, regardless of our differences or the differences of our scenarios. But man, I've been so excited to talk with you, Bradley. You feel like a force to be reckoned with, sir. Your energy and your zest for life and people, I think, is the reason that I really just want to pull on your brain today and your history. And I would love to hear your version of how you'd like to introduce yourself as far as the Groovaloos and the history and where you are today, what you're doing. You're currently directing Cantina's Arts in Los Angeles, but there's so much more in developed groove theory. So can you just give us an intro real fast about where you come from and how you got really started in the dance world, and how you've been defining yourself as an artist?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it in a sort of a larger realm where I see that I grew up in Canada, and I was on an academic route in my life. My whole family side was going to be doctors. On my dad's side, they were doctors. And that's where I was headed. I was an academic kid, athletic kid. And I think about the fact that even back then, I talked about the groove a lot. Of course, that's part of my work, my life, and my message to people through art, through speaking and activating people, is that even then, even though I'm very thankful for my upbringing, that I already back then saw that there is sort of a way that we learn, a way that we're sort of told or guided towards learning, sort of fixed or a growth kind of mindset idea that is almost like a one brush fits all, that just isn't really working. A lot of the things we're going through in life, a lot of the structures in learning, in relationships, are kind of broken, and we know that, but we feel kind of stuck because we don't know what the answer is. That's why you have parents paying kids into top schools. They know the schools aren't even necessarily the answer, but they don't know anything else to do. And they think if their kid doesn't do that, they're going to be on the streets. So the system's not working. And I started to see that early on as I was going in that journey. I had my own anxieties from growing up in a family that was some internal fighting. My parents were divorcing. I had my anxieties, my self-doubts. And so that journey, thankfully, I started to just start to see from looking at it now that I was connected to this groove that was trying to guide me towards what I was to do. And so through that journey, basically, I went through this Canada. I went through a number of competitions. I won these Canadian talent search things, and it started me on this route to. Still, it was at a time when it didn't make sense to do what I did. I was in a pioneering group in Canada called Streetscape. We were the first group up there to do popping and boogaloo in terms of routines. It was quite a phenomenal thing. Boogaloo Sam with the boogaloo dance with us for a while when we did our TV performances. So I had a history there, and that it was helping me to find this freedom and this new sort of connection that was different from everything else I'd experienced. So it took me through Canada, through to the States, through to New York, got to LA. And then what really happened was in LA, out of a desire to let people sense this new freedom that I was experiencing through the culture that exists in street dance culture, through the circle, through the freestyle, through this life that's just adapting to what's able to thrive in unpredictable situations and just dive in and exist right where you're at.
Yeah.
I was learning from it. I wanted to be surrounded by it. So my wife and I we started a gathering. Joni and I started a gathering on our rooftop.
Was this when were you married?
Yeah, so I met Joni. She's from San Diego. We met in acting class.
Sure.
And then within a year, we were having people, even during that time, we were having people in our Hollywood apartment up on the roof. And I just wanted to be
so fun.
I wanted people to come around. And I thought there was a meeting place. I thought there actually was a place, and there wasn't. It was like you met people at auditions and different places. So I was meeting that culture around me. I was learning this new sense of the freedom of it. So we just invited people I met at auditions and people I met at things I was now choreographing with different people, great people like Flow Master that I was working with. And I invited them over. So this gathering became a thing.
To your house.
To the rooftop of our house in Hollywood, had food, music, and it'd be like legends like Shabba-Doo and Pop and Taco and people like that, and then just up and comers, and then others like the Soul Brothers, and then like Flow Master and Jazzy J, and then other people as. And I was also putting together. I'm a writer. I was writing a musical. It was called Streetscape after the group I was with in Canada, and we were developing that with people. So between these projects, that started to grow. I then got the gathering to come to Studio City. I had a studio there, did a once a week thing, and I just started inviting people to this place.
And this was, how long were you in Los Angeles at that point when you started the gatherings, you think?
Well, I had been I got to LA to stay in end of 93, beginning of 94. Had that first couple years of just trying to get established, get in the mix. So by 96, I was starting to do work as an individual performer, getting in the community more, more being aware of the relationships and that whole thing. And then by 96, we were starting these rooftop things. We actually, my wife and I and Allison Falk, who was one of the original Groovaloos, and a guy named Lionel Araya went in the International Street Dance Championships in 96. We won that actually. And that's when we actually met Keely and Teresa and all them. And then moving forward into 98, I'm developing these ideas, having these gatherings. The gatherings are growing. We call them Groove Night. That was the name of them, Groove Night. And they just started to continue to grow as more people were coming along. And through that process of these relationships of legends, of people that were established, to beginners, to the whole idea that I had was, I was the same kid that was like from Canada who loved what I was seeing.
Yeah.
Just a little bit finding out who I was.
Yeah.
I knew that there was a freedom there and something there that was for me, and just wanted people around. And because I didn't realize, I didn't care where you were from, what style. So I was inviting poppers, lockers, freestylers, house people, poets. That was not happening at that time. So it was a new thing at that time. I didn't invent anything, but I was approaching it in a way that was not happening back then. And so this group was just this mixture of people. And from that came the Groovaloos. The Groovaloos sort of spawned out of that. That also was tied to the fact that at that time, Flow Master and I were, B-Boy Flow Master and I were choreographing for Skechers, doing a lot of big things for that. And a lot of the people that auditioned, Boogeyman and Keely, and they also came on that tour, and Teresa, and they were part of that thing. We had people that aren't Groovaloos, but were amazing that came on as well, like Mr. Wiggles and other great legends, Easy Rock. And so we did this whole thing that really blew up. The gatherings grew, the Groove Blues got on the scene. And that's really when that happened. And then over the next, because the emphasis of the Groove Blues, because of my heart of the dance was, I want people to see the beauty of the dance that drew me away from my life in Canada. So when I made routines, I set up routines to set up the solo, but not a solo that's choreographed, a real freestyle moment where that person, regardless if it was a big thing or not, showed who they were, because that got me excited. So that was my drive. I had a mixture of styles, all the styles. Well, I can't say all the styles, a lot of styles. Back before the style movement. Yeah, I sort of had all the styles mixed together, leading towards that essence of somebody's individual expression, mixed with storytelling when it made sense, and then mixed with the sense of wonder and actual joy, because the dance was just wonderful to me. So I was always thinking like, let's like get people excited and do that, and that became a stamp, and the group was kind of connected to the community. We were one of the main staple groups at Carnival every month. Big event going on there, so that exploded. The Grooves are tied to a lot of the iconic groups, as you know, iconic dancers, choreographers, whether it's groups like the Beat Freaks or the Jabberwockies or the Super Crews. There's a connection through that history of ours. We then developed a stage play. That stage play became is one of a kind. There was a show before it called Jam on the Groove, which was amazing with wiggles and flow. But this was sort of the first sort of story-driven hip hop autobiographical show based on the story of these people coming together and telling their actual stories, leading towards this gathering that became the Groove Night and the Groove Blues. And that stage play, which developed in LA, went off Broadway. We played in New York. We traveled to like 25 cities. It was an amazing situation. So that is.
Did you say it was on Broadway? It wasn't an off Broadway show?
It was off Broadway, so off Broadway.
Got it. That's wild.
It was amazing. It was absolutely unbelievable. And that was my experience with that. Of course, the group was still continued to this day, but that whole gathering of people positioned me and put me in places where then I was choreographing separately from these things, other musicals and Broadway shows. I was working with the director of Hamilton and the director of Jesus Christ Superstar, choreographing shows for them, for helping to create the workshops, not on Broadway, but the workshops of Motown the Musical. I was in New York living and choreographing orchestrating these complex productions. And that had me see this overall theme that I started to see how people, artists, businessmen, how I saw it earlier on, that the same thing I mentioned earlier, where we have a sense that we kind of push people through a certain way of learning who they are. That doesn't necessarily work. These broken systems, we don't really have that place. So people get dropped out of the cracks, or they know a different thing and they don't quite go there. And so I saw it again, and I started seeing that people that were stepping into who they were connected to this groove idea. There was a sense that they knew they were resting in something larger than themselves. They were in the present moment because they weren't stuck in moves. They weren't all lost in that. And that's where I, also through the Groovaloo, through dance, through Po One and through other people, I've been saying this phrase, it's not the move, it's the groove. It's not the move, it's the groove. Initially more about dance and movement, but it became a philosophy of my life that I share in art, in activations, in whatever I do, to tell people that if you live life or if you dance based on moves, you run out of moves. You'll be exhausted by the moves. You'll be stressed out by trying to memorize the moves.
Come on.
You'll freeze when those moves don't go in the order you want them to go into. You don't know where you are. But once you pull back, realize the moves are important in your life, but you don't want to lead with those moves. You want to rest. Once you connect to that endless groove, you can dance through life all day. And so that's really where it all came together, and it all comes together.
It's not the arrival, it's the journey, right? It's not the destination.
Yeah, the groove is endless. That's the thing too. It's even right now, right? You made me think of this because of what you're talking about, Take Back 2020. It's so important, and one thing that can be practically given to people, and one thing that I work to do, share whether they're dancers or dentists, it doesn't really matter. Artists to develop more, or people that just are living their life, that you can gain from the idea of what the freestyle life is in the street dance culture. And what I mean by that is street dance culture, and there's others, Hoofin' and Tappin' has a similar thing. Lindy Hop had its culture that was totally, they choreograph stuff, but they also have this freestyle
free flow.
vibe to it. And there's styles of dance that obviously they have it as well, but street dance in today's world is one of the main cultures when it's brought back to what its essence is. Not all the choreography, although I love the choreography, but that choreography pulls away from some of the essence, which is this ability to go, okay, I've learned the foundations, put on the music, I'm in this area, there's a chair, there's a wall, there's a barrier, what do I do with it in that moment? Translate that to life. And if you learn these aspects as an artist in your art, you can translate them to life. But even if you don't know them in your craft, let's say you're a dentist, you're like, I don't dance. You can still be shown through some simple physical motions or just the applications that you can gather this freestyle activity in your mind. It doesn't mean you do whatever you want. It doesn't mean you walk out there and bang your head against a wall. It's connected. You trust that it's connected to who you are and who you're stepping into. It's not just frivolous, but that freedom to then go, I have this, but now I'm going to trust that. And now in this moment, I'm going to be right in the groove, resting in it, seeing how I'm being connected to, what am I sensing, if it's music, sound, light, frequency, vibrations, people talking.
Inspiration, right?
I'm not going to try and prove who I am. So it's.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, I feel like, what I hear you saying, it's one of my favorite phrases. I actually woke up and heard this in my, my mind one day and heard, no need to impress, simply express.
Yeah.
And it's for the point of connection that we would even show up and reveal what our personality is, what our groove is because we actually want to be met and we want to meet and we want to be relatable and relate to. So I love that.
That is awesome because I have a sort of a whole section of things I do called groove mindset, posts and that. And I did this one called Are You the Best? And it was short little minute clips of just inspiration, but also these applications of like a groove mindset. And the idea I said was really, it's sort of echoing what you said in another way, is that the idea is even hip hop itself, there's an element of hip hop that says the culture that is, it says show and prove. And I know what that means. I understand the idea to me is more of, don't just talk about this dance culture. Are you actually able to get up and do it? But I also take it not as so much, I don't take prove the same way. And this is not against what is said by, restrictive. They're amazing legends in this culture. But I look at it this way in terms of a larger picture, is you cannot prove who you are. You can prove, you might be able to prove, okay, I know this step, or I know this math equation, or I know how to build a table, but you can't prove this. Because if I say, well, look, Whitney, here's my resume here, you might say that's amazing, but the next person goes, it's okay, I don't get it. So you can't prove that. It's just the wrong place to put your attention, the wrong mode. You have to realize that, and I love the way you put it, but when I talk about the cipher, the circle of the groove, which is the analogy to the street dance culture, you've got to get in that circle, which means the exchange. It's the exchange, relationship-wise, community-wise, business-wise, and in that exchange, when you're vulnerable enough to express who you are, that's what it is, and it becomes now, you cannot prove your essence, who you are. You can just offer what you have, and so it's like a gift. It's an offering. That way, there's nothing attached. Like, it doesn't matter what they say back. It's not your identity. It's something you've offered. I've offered this solo. I've offered this thing, this work. I've developed my ability.
Yes.
But I'm now offering it. I'm not trying to prove who I am by what I gave you. And that's the freedom that you'll find, I think.
Oh my goodness, man. I think what the lens that I hear you through is through a contemporary dancer lens. And what you describe, and I'm making closer friends with a lot of like freestyle artists, breakers and stuff right now. But it's not a culture I've ever been a part of. And, but I'll never forget when I watched I watched a group of professional skateboarders because I was dating one at the time, and it was I cried because it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, where they didn't leave this location with this crazy jump and all these, I don't know if anybody knows Lizard King, but Lizard King was there, and he's like, a legend in the skate world. And he was doing it. They were going after it. I think they were all sponsored or whatever. And I've never seen, a human act quite like this, just throwing your body off of a high place. But they stayed over and over to watch their friends fall, but never lost faith that their friend was going to figure it out. And they just stayed there. I cried because it was like, oh, like I know that as a dancer, I have a groove in me, but it's not something we practice, like unless we are in maybe a freestyle community, like what you're talking about. It's we show up, we learn a thing, we do the thing. And it's not frequent that there's a lot of adaptation and improvisation where it's a family unit, like what you're describing. We're in this together. When you complete your move or your groove, like that means I completed my groove. Like you're a part of me just as much as I am. And I'd love to hear you talk about just what you see as, quarantine is still affecting us, unfortunately, in the sense of the finances and the economy of the dance industry, the shutdowns of the studios and the performance spots. How can you envision something for those who maybe aren't a part of the freestyle community, like myself, for example, but how can we step into that kind of energy right now? Because that's what we need. We don't necessarily have the space. Like you said, I got to LA and there wasn't a meeting place. How could you speak into, how freestyle mindset and groove mindset could help us adapt a little bit better when some of the structures have been removed?
Yeah, so I want to share a quick story to kind of reflect that. You made me think of it. So just, I guess it was 2009, the Groovaloos were on a show called Superstars of Dance. And it was an amazing experience. We actually won the show. It was like an Olympic scale kind of world countries competing against each other. And it was Australia, Argentina, Russia, China, all this stuff. And then we were there representing the US. And there was a group of us. There was also, so we were there as the Team USA. So we helped to bring home the championship to the United States for the TV program.
Cool.
But I brought that up. You can see those clips online if you'd like to see them. But it was more about, the reason I brought it up was when that show happened, Stephen Boogeyman Stanton had been shot a number of years earlier. Okay, one of our founding members. And actually our stage show had a lot to do with his story because it had us question, who are we if we've made our identity dancers if we can't dance? And was that maybe not the way to look at life? We have to be more than that. And so he was shot, he survived, but he was very severely injured. His vertebrae, his plates and pins in his back and things in his legs to help him walk. And he was told he'd never walk or dance again, which miraculously, thankfully, that did not limit him that way. But when we were on that show, I got the call, Nigel Lithgow wants to have us on the show, talking to the agent. And at that time, reality shows like that, you have to go fast. And they purposely, if you've ever done a reality show, they want to see you break down. They're looking to see how you stress out because that's TV. They want to see, oh my gosh, I'm fighting with you. They're looking to get that. So they have you have late nights. They get you, these are your hours. Now you do a session. And they add on to that because that's part of the show. It's a reality show.
Yeah. So
at that time, I thought I won't have Stephen in the show. And it was, I talked to my agent. It was kind of like, only because I have to choose the Groovaloos. I can't have everybody. Stephen got shot. He's me slower to move. We got to make quick routines, make them, that fast. And I was thinking, you know what? I think maybe I should, maybe not do that. Well, thankfully, right after I made that decision, before we got to the first rehearsal with the whole group, a couple of Groovaloos said, hey, yo, that's not cool. I don't think so. Stephen should be there. I said, well, there's lots of Groovaloos. They said, no, he's an original. And right away, I got the groove speaking to me saying, you're wrong, Bradley. Stephen's got to do it.
Yeah.
The reason I bring this up in terms of your question is I went over to his place. We ended up having a deep discussion where I realized I was angry at him for being injured. It was kind of weird, but I was like, I was on walking on eggshells, and he came at me and said, don't you ever do that to me again. Don't you ever pity me or whatever. And we are best friends, and don't do that. And in this, he said, what you need me to do, don't, go around beat around the bush. Just tell me what it is, and we do it. And if I can't do it, then we go around it, but don't that. And in that moment, the example I'm giving is I've been thinking what I couldn't do if Stephen was in our group. I was thinking how he'd slow us down. What if we got to make something quick? His routines, we can't do certain positions in routines. We can't, he can't run on stage fast. We can't, I was thinking, we have a certain amount of movements that don't fit how his body can move now. I was thinking of all of that, but boom, in a moment, it was like, what can I do with Stephen? I'm so happy he's back again. Oh my gosh, he's on a cane. He walks in the cane. Okay, now he's gonna use his cane to conduct us. And he's gonna make this move here. And now we're gonna tell the story. He's gonna start in the first number in the wheelchair. We're gonna have him, which is part of our stage show. We're gonna sort of share that fast. And so my point being that in this moment now, there are 1,000 things. We just had a good friend just now, just tell us that she's got COVID. And she was just at our house this week. So now my wife and I are kind of like, well, what's happening? What do we gotta do? And so there are 1,000 things that we go, can't do this, can't do that, can't do this, can't do this. It doesn't matter. Anytime in life, I can tell you when I was in Canada, I know it doesn't seem the same, but when I was there coming out of Canada, there wasn't stuff going on. There was no dance shows. This is decades ago. I kept saying, what can I do? Now, again, we didn't have COVID, but what I'm getting at is that I had to go knock on doors and say, can I put on a show for you? Can I create a production for you? What can I do for you? And that was without the internet and all the businesses that happen now, without all the ability we have now to create our own network sitting at home. So it was this idea of what can I do? That was the freestyle spirit of, okay, and now I've got a pen, I got a phone, and I got a pad. What can I do? I got a book, I got a shelf. What can I do? I got an idea. I got a friend. I got someone that lives in the house. They can film this. I got an idea. What can I write?
Yeah.
So it seems simplistic, but the reality is the more you present yourself that, I believe the groove speaks to you. You get, and then and even scientifically we know that our frequencies, our energies change. They just do. Our vibrations change. And whether you think that's attracting people to the same energy, whatever you believe, something changes. You start to get, that comes. And you start to get this idea, this new idea. And next thing you know, you're going. So it really, truly, I say, choose the groove. I say, as you do that, that freestyle ability will grow. You can practice. I have a statement that says, you are most often who you spend the most time practicing to become.
Come on.
Which means that you can practice your ability to freestyle. I don't care if you freestyle dance, you can practice your ability to freestyle in life. Something you said about contemporary dancers. I was in Hawaii before COVID happened. I was working with a team out there. It was phenomenal. But I took they're mainly contemporary dancers, most of them were. And I took them through these exercises of freestyle and groove. To open them up. They were great dancers, but they again were kind of in that way of, I can dance once you show me what the dance is. I don't know about going here and there, and if you just tell me to move, I don't know what to do. I just simple things. I didn't put them on the spot, but simple things. I'm putting lines on the floor and just having them going along, musicality, building this ability for them to grow awareness. In this way, it's a awareness of the musical groove. But to translate that into their life. And I've seen it again and again where people go, you changed my life, because that awareness you gave me physically, I've got to apply that now. When I'm sitting in my kitchen table, looking at the bills, looking at, this, if I do this, I'm stuck in a move. And it happens to all of us. But if I just not, you can stay there your whole life, but at some point you, okay, who do I know? What's my Rolodex? How many friends do I have? When's the last time I contacted Whitney?
What do I have?
Have I ever talked to this person? What have I, there's just, when you go down that road and then you start, now we have this time, some of us, if we're to sort of go, what am I about?
Yeah.
What with the dance I do or the business I do, how am I designed? What am I, maybe there's something that even as I'm now get to develop this thing that really brings together, I found that my journey of this dance world, and now I taught at universities at USC and different places, the teaching aspect, the group orchestration, now has me so clear that this is my life. I mean, obviously I know you can tell when I answer your question, you're like, Bradley, I was looking for 2 sentences and you gave me 10 minutes. I'm just so designed now. I can see it as I keep learning. I don't know everything, but as I keep learning, I'm like, I know this. And I dive into it. And I found it by taking the time to see what was all these things that were coming in, my education, my desire to help people. I was going to be a doctor. I wanted to help people. I had that still in me. My desire to learn how to be free, my desire to step into my identity, my desire to get over my anxiety, my self-doubts, and all the stuff I've dealt with for a lot of my life. And seeing, in my growth, how I can help others. So I would just basically, I hope that makes sense, that there's a choice of how you look at it. You've heard it before. What you think about, you attract, or what you think about where you go. And you can decide. It seems easy to people. Well, it's not just a decision. Well, it kind of is. It really kind of is. Choices in your life. I don't always want to get up, but I got children. I don't always want to, my wife's not well now, so I don't maybe want to do this, but I love her. I'm going to choose to go whatever I got to do to make sure she's okay. You can make choices a lot through your life, much more than you probably think.
Right. 100%. I'm like, I want to point to choose the groove. Choose the groove. Like, because I really 100% believe and have seen in my own life that when I do make a decision, and I talk about this in my e-course, it's decision is cutting away. Cision is an incision, right? So cutting away. Right now, I think what we need to focus on doing is cutting away our limitations. We can focus on our limitations and all the things that have been removed from us, or we can literally focus on what we have, like you showed, what do I have? What am I going to do this? I'm going to make a little dance right now. You know what I mean? But
with the dancing iPod case. Believe me, someone's going to watch it, and maybe that gets you going, and maybe that starts you up going, well, that was kind of silly. But then you start going, actually, I'm really gifted
at sound.
Next, you start just realizing different things that that you do.
For sure, 100%. And I think what I also hear you say too, that I think is crucial for us right now, is that the freestyle culture has taught you to actually, honestly, it's huge. It's hugely neurological, the ability to step into a mind space where you're not judging yourself. You are showing, you're expressing, and you're not so much focused on impressing. You're just revealing who you are. And I think right now, I'm surprised we're not seeing more innovative performance online. I know some people are going after that, but I'm just hungry. I miss dance. I miss seeing performance, and not just class. I want to see, I love what Malachi put out. I mean, he's making stuff right now, and I want to see people get adaptive, right? And innovative right now, because we are living in a funky time. Not only did some giant crisis happen, but also we're more connected than ever via technology. What are we going to do with those things, And
actually, this is the time I've been, when I've been working with people, trying to help them to see this is the time, even the fact that you reached out to me, there are people that you would not believe that maybe, normally you just would I'm never going to see them or talk to them. But now I'm doing a conference, I'm doing a talking engagement this next weekend. And they've gathered these people, it's what's called Hope Rising. And they got over 100 people coming there who normally get, whatever thousands to speak. But we're somebody reached out, well, yeah, I'm going to do it, because so there's opportunity now, even on the level of relationship building, and because collaboration is the commodity, the collaboration, the community is the unity. And so you have this opportunity to, hopefully with the good intentions and the real, not just, to jump ahead as the only motive, but as this idea, I really always wanted to know more about this choreographer I like, or this producer, or a friend, or I don't care, an author, whoever it might be. I'm going to email him. You'd be surprised. That you're going to get probably more than ever before that person responding. If you DM, where you'd never be able to before, but they're sitting at home and they go, who's this guy? He likes my work. Hey, Joe, you want to do a little thing and ask me questions? Sure. Tomorrow, next week at 10. That's the kind of stuff. So that's another aspect of it, that's very important. And you brought up another thing too. When I start having people step into the circle, whether I'm working them with dance or the actual analogies for people that are entrepreneurs or whatever they might be in their life, there's so much stuff we have these misperceptions. And, it goes with the same thing about stepping in the middle of a circle is the same thing as public speaking or your first new job or just got adopted into a family or the new kid on the block. It's the same thing. And when you look at that circle, you write down what you think it is, which is the perception. And it's usually nothing to do with reality. It just usually isn't. You feel, I'm afraid. Well, afraid of what? You don't know. Like I'll even talk about it if you're in the circle and you actually fall to the ground. It's not really that far away. And if you get back up, people are going to like, ooh, nice, he got back up. That's cool. And that most people, to be honest, they're not studying you like you think they are. They're their own journey in their own mind, and they're being inspired by you, or maybe they're being distracted by you. So the attention that you think is this laser beam attention is not what you think. And there's just so many aspects of a different discussion of what the process is of getting in the circle that's not based in reality. It's based on our minds rolling off in, I talk about it this way. When you start to get moving, I call it this process where you kind of go, there's one of the ways we go from preparation, you got to prepare, right? And then you get to, so the preparation represents the moves you learn. You get knowledge, you get training, you build your craft, but that's the preparation. You study your thing, whatever it is. And then you have over here the pursue, where you actually go do, you active, you go, you pursue. But in the middle is this thing called pondering, and where you kind of analyze, should I do it? But we can really get lost in that pondering because we get stuck there.
Yes.
We start spinning there, and that pondering leads up here to perfectionism, and then we do nothing. And so you've got to find ways to get from this way quicker by watching how long you stay in the perception mind, in the move mindset mind, where you are just overthinking. What's that? I forget the term, but it's something like when they say, what is it? Fear of events that I forget the acronym, but basically things that haven't happened yet. You're worried about stuff maybe never happen.
Yeah, totally. My gosh, I feel like for our audience today, I'm going like, I have a really strong sense that people are getting ideas. And if you're hearing yourself come up with some ideas as Bradley is talking, I want you to just write them down right now. Take this moment to just capture, because it's like a writer, like you grab an idea and it might just fly off to the next person who's willing to do it, to move through it, right? So grab it right now. And then like start to choose the groove, start to attract the people, the resources that you need to enact this idea that you have, because it's going to keep you alive. It's going to lead you to the next thing. It's going to be a domino effect too, right?
It's almost like, some people do vision boards, for example, and some people put too much weight in them or whatever. But the idea is when you have a belief in something and you actually see things, you actually need to see things before they appear. Many ways. There's truth to it. There's actually a idea that I can see myself here. And it's not always about, like I said, just the success of, dollars and money, but just I can visualize myself thriving, of being who I am, of really expressing what I wanted to say, of getting this part of me out of my body. And I can, on that, in front of these people or whatever it might be, in this other medium. And when you have that, when you put it there, one of the things that I love about the process of creativity, and it's kind of weird, many times, believe me, I've been through many things that have not happened. Like what I mean is pitched the TV ideas, written treatments, and they didn't happen. I still think many of them still will. I'm believing that. Yeah. But what's really cool is when you get in that place and you are actually like, oh man, I can see it now. And you're writing the idea, and you maybe have a few friends, if you can, we kind of even starting to write, whether it's a script or it's a show, whatever, and you're imagining, you're maybe mixing some music. It's really alive right then. It truly is. And actually, you got to remember that part of the process is so valuable, because sometimes that's more valuable than the actual thing happening. It's like when you win an award, right?
Yes.
You won the award. Now you're getting it, but that's already happened. You're now getting the award. You go, thank you very much. Thank you so much. But really, it was this journey that was so wonderful. And so when you go through that, even the process, if it doesn't quote happen the way you were hoping, realize there's real life there. There's a reality there of the frequency, the vibration, the groove that makes things real. And you'll be surprised. It might come back later, or maybe it inspired somebody else, but you'll start seeing things that you were thinking about because they become kind of real because you've really seen it. And that joyful, exciting, creative process of without worrying about will it happen and oh my gosh, I can't get the money and you know, he'll never say yes. Let that go. Just dive in and just realize that even if you had $1 million, you still go through the process, and that's the joyful part. That part of actually believing I can do this or create this or start this or break free from this or whatever it will be is as valuable as the end.
Yeah.
Because there is no end in a sense. So just think of that as well.
Yeah.
Very important.
Bradley, so much fun. I feel like this time with you is, for me, dancers, I want you to hear like this man is an example of someone who made something out of nothing, who made a community that didn't exist before, and he didn't overthink it. He was like, you over here who have tons of experience and you over here who don't have a lot, we're gonna learn from each other. So I encourage you to take that wherever you are right now in the world, whatever city you're in, as small and as big as it might be, and whatever resources you have, like don't let yourself miss out on the process, the journey, the joy of moving right now. Bradley, did you have something you wanted to share with us, like an offer today, something with our audience that you have?
Yeah, there'll be a link that I'll send to you for them to get like, it's like a little free gift. It just has a few of the groove. So I shared, you know, groove theory and
groove theory,
mindset has a few of the just initial sort of thought process of that. And there's a little video that says, hey there, how you doing? But it just gives you an idea of how you can connect with me. The way that I work, just so you know, is I do not lock this into one thing. Like, okay, here's Bradley's course ABC. It's not that. It's much more. We're 50 dancers. We're 100 dentists. We're 3 people. We're trying to do this. How can you help us either creatively or mentally to get to that place? How can you help my business? How can you help me individually? So I'm very much, because my life has been this, in the moment, this project's happening. In the moment, this is happening. So I'm very much of the connection that you'll get through the free gift is really an invitation to reach out to me, say, this is what we're working on. Would you like to come up to? There's some people that reached out to me yesterday. I have a group of people in Seattle, when you're allowed to, when they're not locked down.
Travel.
You travel there and help us through a process. Take us through a groove theory weekend, or can you come for these 4 hours? So it's very open, but I'll give you that link that allows you to at least connect with me and bring up whatever thoughts you have.
Yeah,
and then also, one other thing, I'm sorry, I also have I just started it fairly recently, a Facebook group called the Groove Circle. So that's as well. You can just become a friend there. I'm just encouraging. It's more just an encouraging place for people to hang out and share the art and stuff that they're doing.
That's so cool, Bradley. We need more of that, honestly. You guys don't hesitate. Click the links in the email. I want to ask one more thing of you. If you were speaking to someone right now who is currently debating about what their next step is or how to step forward, if you were speaking to them directly, what would you say to them right now as they're moving maybe past some discouragement or some questioning?
Yeah. You know, even I just think in life, because even now for myself and my family, we have some big decisions we're making as well. That there can be a tendency in our desire to know now to get in the anxious, worrying stage. There's a statement that I really believe in. In this world we live in now, everybody's talking about progress, and progress is a good thing, but progress on its own, it can be a trap. Progress without wisdom is not necessarily a great thing. Demanding of things to just instantaneously happen doesn't necessarily mean they're going to happen or even turn out the way you want. So on that level, when you're feeling that way, breathe. Know you're connected. Know you're sitting on something that's real. You have to. The more you practice that, the more you'll see that. So that's a personal way of your personal choice of what that means. But then recognize that what you're believing. Let your mind open up to what you've dreamt for, what you believe in, and then as you go forward, don't bring the accountant in the room. What I mean by that is when you're creating a project, for example, you want to be free to create, free to do. Later, tell it, and then the accountant will say, you can't afford this, can't afford this, can't afford that. You don't bring the accountant in first As you're thinking, you're going, okay, this. And then as you get that idea, all it is a matter of is it's really is the steps. Steps. We've heard this before from different people. I'm just saying the same thing. You're not looking to the top of the mountain. You're looking at the next step. And
yes,
the journey might be this. The
yeah,
groove is there. As you take the step, you breathe again. You look around. You take in all the surroundings.
it's good.
You see what's speaking to you, what's hitting you here, what's telling you, not an emotion. It's not just an emotion. You're trying to get an emotional feeling. It's something that's hitting you and you're going, ah, and you go, and then you start to ask the questions. I think a big question, what am I here for? Who am I? And don't be afraid of what the uncertainty in that is, but ask and then start to step into those things and then realize as you're learning who you are, it can be, quote, messy. It's okay.
Yeah, I love that.
You're going to have to kind of go and stumble in that. You've heard these a million times. You're not going to succeed without 1,000 failures or whatever the number is. And I didn't call them really failures. You're going to just keep learning. You know, that didn't work. That didn't work. And when you have that idea that I'm in this process to learn who I am, share who I am, step into my fullness, believe in something greater than myself. If you have that in your mind, as you do this, you go, oh, wow, I didn't come across very well in that one. Okay, that's something that I didn't realize. It's not like, I'm so
shame on me.
So so I know that's sort of a rounded statement, but just truly one step at a time. But start training your mind to know that you are connected. Because you and I'll say I'll say last for now, as you can see, I get very excited about this to just help. Is that look in your life, look back in they say that your car has a big front mirror, lots to look at. The rear mirror is supposed to be small because you're not supposed to get regretful. But at the same time, I do this very regularly with my family. I'll look past and I'll go, where's the parts in my life that have been very difficult, like painfully so, and we got through that and through that. Wow, through that to remind me I'm getting through this. Then I go further. Hey, Mom, tell me about you. My mother, who was the first Black beauty queen in Canada 71 years ago. So believe me, she had stories about her and her family. How'd you get through that? And through that, oh, wow, okay. And how about your grandfather? This stuff matters. History matters in terms of that ability for you to go, I'm going to survive. It's painful right now. I'm going to thrive. It's possible. So those things you got to think about. Think about those things. We can spend all day on Facebook comparing ourselves. You can choose to do that, or you can say, I'm going to choose to see what's excellent, lovely, wonderful, possible, exciting, creatively inspiring. Who do I know? Who can I call? I'm going to call Brad. You can call me. Like,
call him up now.
You know me. I'm down to just talk to someone and do this with them in their life. I have writers that call me. I have people that would call me. I'm like, how can I help you? Because then as far as I'm energized now. It's both. So that's a lot, but hopefully that bleeds into you. And also, as Whitney, as I told you, I'll give you the link for the gift. My website, bradleyrapier.com is there. I have Groove Mindset, at Bradley Rapier, a lot of stuff of ways to connect with me. But really my heart is that you would just be inspired to realize you're connected to something great, realize there's a groove. But if I can help in any way with that, or if this helped you, then I'm grateful.
It's so good. Helped me, Bradley.
Yes.
Seriously, it's priceless time, you guys. Priceless time. Don't forget to look back, not just the people that are at Millennium right now and the people that are currently teaching whatever new dancing, but learning from those who are the original domino in the effect of what we have now today, you guys as dancers. Honor those leaders and honor those forerunners like Bradley, because it will reap a greater reward in your dance and in your wisdom. So I appreciate your time so much, Bradley. I mean, I'm full. You guys go write your ideas down and click the links, check out what he's got. Choose the groove.
That's it. Big shout out to Malachi for connecting us. So Malachi Simmons, thank you.
We love you, Malachi. All right, you guys have an awesome day, okay? Bye.
Thank you.